Hi, Pragyna. Good afternoon. So, how are you doing?
Hi, Sunil. Good afternoon. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. All doing good. So, thank you for coming on board. This is one of the podcasts for the Women's Month series. So, instead of doing Women's Day as one day, I know you would say every day is Women's Day. But instead of doing it as one day, I thought of doing it across the entire month of March. And one of the ways in which is to get amazing people like you and share your stories such that you get inspired listening to your own stories, and also others get inspired by listening to yours, and possibly they may come out and share their stories to the rest of the world. This is one of the first humble attempts to make this a possibility. And I would leave the floor to you. There are a series of 4 questions. I'd let you do your introduction. One of the first questions I have is, if you were to share as to what your story is, what would you share?
Thank you, Sunil. So, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here and to be part of this vision that you have for empowering women. I love that. Now, the reason why I resonated this is also part of my story because I have been brought up in a family where we were two girls as children, and but never once did we feel like girls were any lesser or women were any lesser, because we were treated as equal to other people. We were given all the opportunities that the men or the boys were given. And in fact, I was into sports, I was into all extracurricular activities, and that has been my upbringing. So, having said that, I come from a decently well-educated family, and for our education has always been the priority. And like anybody else, I am also in the normal routine of, okay, we need to go to college, we need to study well, we need to get a job, and that's what life is all about. And I was in that cycle too. And I think only when I became a mother, when I had my baby, that's when perspective shifted in terms of what am I really doing with my life. That is when I questioned, is this job worth the effort of leaving a child back home and dealing with all the stuff that happens around early motherhood stages. So at that point, I found myself at a crossroads thinking, why am I even bothering to do all this? And at that point, I found myself reflecting on that this job is not fulfilling me, it's not making me come alive, or I felt like I could do better than this job also. So when everything started coming together, I had a troublesome decision to make on, should I leave my career to embrace motherhood, or where do I go? But coming from that background of you have to work, job is everything that you have to do, I was like, what do I do if I leave my job? So I came to the decision and I left my job, and it was then that my journey actually started. And that was where I realized that once we are in the job, I could never realize what relationship I had with my job. And when I left it, I started to reflect on, I made so many decisions that weren't right for me or for my family or for my well-being in general. And I thought, but why do we give work so much importance, especially to work that does not light our fuel, light our fire, to say. So that's where my entire transition happened. And the universe also helped me in this tremendously. In fact, my last working day, I saw an announcement that said the daycares would be closed the next day. This was COVID times. So they said daycares would be closed. And I was like, wow, if I was still working, then what would we have done? Right? My less than a year old baby was going to the daycare at that point. So this entire journey made me realize that, okay, maybe quitting my job was the right thing to do at that point of time. And then my entire story since then has been about figuring out what I really want to do, what kind of work, makes me come alive. And actually, I'm privileged and happy to say I am doing work that makes me come alive too. And that's my journey. And I really want to share this with the intention that other people can also know that, we don't have to be stuck in a hamster wheel per se.
Wow, fantastic. And Pragyna, I know you as somebody who's a public speaker. You are also a Toastmaster enthusiast, and I think aficionado, if I can put that there. And also, you've written a book, Ace at Work. So, did the book happen first, or career transition happen first?
For the career transition, definitely. So the book is an outcome of this entire journey about things that I have learned about the things I did well in my career, things I have done wrong, and observing people around me and all my clients that I have been coaching. So this book is an observation of all of that. Yeah. So it happened after this entire journey, and it's more recent. Yeah.
Fantastic. So Ace at Work is what it's called.
Yes.
And so, it's more around, say, like the entire space is around inspiring women. So would you like to share maybe one inspiring story or one anecdote or anything that, like something that you remember from your life?
Okay, so I had never been a reader, a book reader, right? So this was about 10 years ago, maybe, or much more than I don't remember the exact time. My sister gave me a book written by Sheryl Sandberg. This is called Lean In, right? And this was one of the first books that I read. And I remember when I started reading it, I couldn't put the book down. And
Hmm.
there are some words in this book that have struck me very, very deeply. One being sit at the table. Like, because you're a woman, because you're whatever you are, doesn't mean you don't step up, you don't speak up, you don't come and, mingle with everybody else. And we tend to find ourselves in many situations where we, hesitate. Do we really have to? How can we go talk to these people? How do I approach somebody? Maybe they are better off. And, all these doubts that keep coming up. But something that stuck with me in the book are these words, which I mentioned earlier in my intro also. It is very hard to leave a child at home and go to work. So you better make sure that work is worth it. So that is something that has stuck with me. And I think when I actually had my baby, that's when I realized the power of those words.
Wow. Very, very, powerful words that make sure your work is worth it. Hmm. So now what do you work as a work on?
So now I have made it my mission to help people live balanced, fulfilled, meaningful lives and have good relationships with their work. When I say that, I don't mean, I want people to fall in love with their work, but I want them to do work that they actually love. And whatever they're doing, I'm not a propagation of, passion is important, money is not important, bills are not important, follow your passion. That's not at all what I'm saying. In fact, for me, the word passion I have my ups and downs with it. But the idea of passion is do whatever you do very passionately and you will see the results.
Amazing, amazing. So what are your passions?
My passion is definitely speaking. I love sharing ideas and thoughts and educating and teaching. That has been something that has stuck with me throughout my life. And definitely now, I think coaching and inspiring people has become another add on to this passion that I've had.
And if you were to share a message to the outside world, women, especially young women, what would that be?
Don't get caught up in stereotypes. Don't let yourself tell yourself the stories that you are any lesser than what the world lets you believe.
Oh, wow. So what would be an advice, or what would be something that you would tell your, say, 20-year-old self?
So this is funny. I actually had a Google photo memory show up of a video that I had made for myself some time back. Right? So usually we leave notes or messages from the future saying, what would your future self come and tell you? So this was a video that I had recorded for myself when I transitioned my career. And the video was very simple. I was walking out of a conference, which actually inspired me to make that transition as well. And in that video, I told myself, don't forget this feeling that you have right now. You feel excited, you feel hopeful, you feel driven, and that will keep you going. And the words in that video, which I have told myself, is remember this feeling and remember that you are meant for greater things. And that is the message. Even today, if I go back, I would say the same thing. Remember, you're meant for bigger things.
Wow. So how are you feeling right now? So, it's a coach question, but how are you feeling right now?
I feel inspired and hopeful when I listen to this message that I am sharing today, and shared my I shared this to myself a few years ago, and I feel like, wow, that has been an amazing journey for me. And it is about personal discovery. It is about discovering who you are, what you want, and make it happen for yourself. It's not about, just doing things the routine.
Wow, amazing. You're always meant for greater things. Greater things are coming for you. So, and also like a lot of other things in terms of visualization, in terms of possibly how we see ourselves. So, how has that changed in terms of how you see yourself over the course of many years?
So if I look at myself today, I have three feelings that pop up. One is that I'm proud of what I have done so far and what I'm trying to do, or the journey that I'm on. I'm not going to say I have become very successful, my life has changed or whatever, but I have changed as a person. And that is something I can clearly see when I look at myself today. So I feel that I'm proud. I am proud of who I have become today. And the second thing is I see hope and I see dreams, which I don't now let just go. I actually give
Mm.
it some weightage. Earlier, we would have some thoughts, but we would be like, oh, that's maybe not for me, or they would have a lot of doubts. But now I actually acknowledge that, okay, these dreams are possible. And number three, I actually feel confident. And for me, the definition of confidence has changed. So a lot of people have this trouble of, I can't speak in public, or, I get scared. Of course, I also get scared, but I have always been okay with standing and, sharing anything on a stage. So I would be like, oh, that's confidence. See, I can go up in front of people and be confident. But for me, the definition of confidence has changed. So today, when I see myself and I see that I am confident, it means I believe that I can figure things out by myself. I have that ability. So it's no more just I can stand in front of us, or look, stand in front of people on the stage.
Fantastic. Now, I think I am, really enjoying the conversation that we're having today. But if we were to, share with something, share a story, share an anecdote, or something to close this session with, what would that be a closing statement?
Okay, so one incident that comes to my mind is I told you I was not a book reader, but once I became a book reader, I started visiting libraries. And when I visited one library, I was randomly just browsing books. I picked up one book in the shelf and I opened it. And the first page had a sticky note with a smile on it, emoji of a smile. This was just random. Like somebody who took that book, when they returned it, they put a sticky note with a smile there. And that reminds me so much of somebody being so kind, and that made me smile that day. And I will now, if I actually take a book from somebody and return it, I actually return it with a sticky note of a smile.
Oh, wow, amazing. So I'm hoping to see your book, Ace at Work, sometime, when you return to Bangalore and we meet again in SLV at Bansankari. So thank you, Pragna, for this conversation with me. And, I am very hopeful that conversations like this with uh, amazing, gracious, kind women like you are, so will inspire more. And hopefully, whenever you want to listen to yourself again in terms of the message you want to share to yourself, you can always revisit this podcast. Thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. That's been wonderful, Sunil. Lovely conversation.
Thank you.